Most people think powerful speakers dominate the room with words. The truth is the opposite. The speakers who command attention, who shift minds, who make entire audiences lean in, are the ones who understand something most people never even notice: silence. Not empty space, not awkward gaps, but precision placed pauses that control emotion, guide meaning, and amplify authority. And if you've struggled to feel influential when you speak, the cause is simple. You've been talking too much, too fast, and too continuously for anyone's mind to lock onto you. Today, you're going to learn how the masters do it. Before we dive deep into this, if you want to sharpen your influence across the board, check out the links below. The Free Neuro Influence Project gives you ongoing lessons and new insights. The Influence Architects membership takes you further. And the Power Influence Mastery is where the real elite level training happens. Everything's linked in the description. Now let's get to this lesson. Pauses are not breaks. Pauses are weapons. And once you understand how they work on the brain, you'll never communicate the same way again. Well, let's start with the mechanism most people don't see. Pauses control cognitive bandwidth. The human mind can only process so much data at once. And when you talk nonstop, you overload the audience. Noise goes up, retention goes down, and guess what? Authority just disappears. But when you pause, something fascinating happens. Your listener's attention spikes. They fill that silence with anticipation. And their brain, it tries to predict your next move. Great trial attorneys rely on this. Jerry Spence, one of the most feared courtroom speakers in American history, used long pauses to make jurors hang on every word. He once said that silence is the strongest voice he has. Now, people in persuasion often think force equals power. In reality, space equals power. All right, let's talk about mechanism 2. Pauses frame meaning. A pause right before a key statement creates weight. A pause right after a key statement creates absorption. You ever thought of it that way? So you can look back on Steve Jobs and his product launches. He used pauses as punctuation for emotion. He'd unveil a big feature and let the room breathe. Allow the audience to take ownership of the meaning before he continued. And that pause locked the frame in their minds. When you speak, you're not just delivering information, you're shaping interpretation. And pauses, they're your control levers. All right, I want to talk about mechanism number 3. Pauses regulate your emotional field that you're creating in the audience. This is really, really interesting. People don't respond just to words. They respond to the emotional field the words create. A well-timed pause changes that field instantly. If you're negotiating and want to break tension, use a soft, calm pause that signals no threat. If you want to raise tension, use a still, unblinking pause that forces the other person to respond. Silence communicates intention faster than speech. And in leadership, this is how you signal calm during uncertainty. In sales, this is how you create buying pressure without saying a single persuasive line. In influence, this is how you create gravity. All right, mechanism 4. Pauses force internal dialogue. So when you speak continuously, people listen passively. When you pause, they start talking to themselves. And their internal dialogue is far more persuasive than anything you can say. And this is why therapists, interrogators, closers, and hypnotists all rely on silence. Well, the good ones anyway. They force the client or the subject or the prospect to fill in their own meaning. And here, the pause becomes a mirror. Now, you'll see this used in presidential debates as well. Ronald Reagan mastered the knowing pause, where he let the audience complete the message in their own mind. Are you better this year than last? If so, I'd ask you to vote for me. That made his communication land as truth rather than opinion. And by the way, I recalled that from memory, and it might not be quite that. I think he said, "Are you better off now than with the last person in office? If not, I'd ask you to vote for me." I have to look that quote up. All right, when you make someone think, they feel the thought belongs to them. That's influence. All right, mechanism 5. Pauses reset the frame of the conversation. So if a conversation is spiraling, or if it's escalating, or if it's drifting even, a pause disrupts the momentum. It resets the frame. It signals something just shifted. It's one of the most underrated tools in high-pressure communication. You can read about it, people talk about it, but hardly anyone actually uses it deftly with real power. In negotiations, silence breaks patterns. In leadership, silence reasserts presence. In selling, silence forces clarity. The pause, it is the pivotal point. All right. If you want to get good at this, don't do it alone. The free Neuroinfluence Project gives you 30 core lessons across 6 influence domains. It keeps you plugged in and constantly sharpening your skills. And by the way, those number of lessons are growing. If you want deeper training, the Influence Architects membership gives you hundreds of hours of structured learning. And for those who want to master elite persuasion models at the highest level, the Power Influence Mastery is the place to go. Links are below. Now, let's continue. Let's break down the 3 most powerful types of pauses and when to use them. First, the gravity pause. This is the pause that makes the room lean toward you. Use it before something important. You can even, adjust your face, your demeanor to indicate something important is coming, but let that pause really signal it. What it says is, what comes next matters. Now, Martin Luther King Jr. used this throughout his famous "I Have a Dream." Listen to it again. You can find it on YouTube. Listen closely, and you'll hear the gravity pauses that make his vision land like prophecy. He wasn't rushing. He was directing the emotional rhythm of the crowd. All right, number 2, the absorption pause. This comes after a key statement. For example, you weren't rejected, you were redirected. And then pause, just like that. Let them take it in. Let it hit. This pause is essential when you want the listener to feel something shift internally. Coaches and therapists and really good storytellers, they all use this. All right. Number three, the pressure pause. This one's used in negotiations, which I just love. It's probably one of my favorite areas. Also in sales and leadership, when you need movement from the other person. It's the silence after you ask a question such as, what would you like to do next? Then you stay quiet. You do not save them ever. You don't soften it. You let the silence pull the truth out. And by the way, you want a trick? Ah, strategy. Once you engage in silence, imagine that it's pulling them out. It's pulling them towards you. You know what? I don't know if it's the emotional shift in your own head or what, but I just got done teaching one of the master classes in our Influence Master Negotiating program, a giant program with over 600 strategies and tactics. And that was a big one in that lesson. Let them come to you. Imagine they're coming to you, that the silence is working in your favor. Might be an emotional shift inside you. Whatever it is, wow, try it. It really works. Now, let me mention car sales legend Joe Girard. He had the world record for car sales, probably still holds it. And he talked about how silence after the close was one of his highest producing habits. He'd ask a simple question, shut up, and let the tension do the work. The pressure pause isn't aggressive, and it's certainly not manipulative. It's precise. It creates forward motion. All right, let's bring it all together. My dog wishes me to do that. You probably hear it barking in the background. So when you combine these three pauses, you control the rhythm of attention and the shape of the frame. You also control the emotional field. You speak less, but your influence goes up. The secret is never the amount of words. It's the architecture around them that shapes them and shapes the emotional response to what you're doing. When you pause with intention, people feel it. They sense authority. They sense clarity. They sense leadership, and they start listening differently. All right. If you want to develop this skill across every area of your life, choose the training path that fits where you are. If you want to start free and build your foundation, the Neuro Influence Project gives you rapid lessons that sharpen your thinking, speaking, and influence. It's the best place to plug in. If you want a guided path with community and deep training, the Influence Architects membership gives you a complete library of persuasion, communication, and personal transformational tools. And if you're the kind of person who wants to master influence at the highest level, the Power Influence Mastery gives you the full system, the advanced models, and an AI integrated platform to help you internalize each skill. Each path has a purpose, and each one moves you further into mastery. All the links are below, so choose the level that fits your goals. All right. Master the pause, and you change the way people experience you. Words fill space, but pauses shape it. And the person who shapes space controls the room. I'll see you in the next video.